Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Gena and I make videos about houseplants and houseplant related content, and I make videos every week, sometimes twice a week, and I'm so happy you're here joining me today. So today's video is a favorite plant video of the month. So we're in January now, and I wanted to share with you all of the plants or planty things in the month of January that have brought me the most joy. So in this month, I have 5 plants that have brought me tons of joy and 1 planty thing. So let's get into it. So for most of these plants, we're going to go to the plants, but I do have the first one here with me, and that is my variegated schefflera. So this one lives in my Millsbo IKEA cabinet, and I got it. So right now I had to repot it. It was in a, look how pretty that is. It was in a little, like a 3-inch, I think, grow pot, and I already have had to repot it. And I think I got this in November. So I came across this plant at my local nursery, the same one that I took you guys along with me on a plant shopping adventure in my last video. And it was in the little miniatures section, which is my favorite section in that entire shop. They have all these little miniature versions. They have the big versions, and then they have these little miniature versions. So last time I was there, just this last video, I don't remember seeing one of these there. And so when I saw it back in November, I instantly was drawn to the variegation. So the schefflera is kind of a nostalgic plant for me. So when we lived in California, we lived in Southern California, and the house we bought had a giant schefflera planted in the backyard. So like right against the back of the house, right to the right of our patio. And it was huge, and it was so pretty. It wasn't the variegated version, it was just the plain green. But I was just, and at the time I didn't know what kind of plant it was. Eventually I looked it up, but I remember being shocked that a houseplant could grow outdoors, and get so large. So I love the plant, and that's why I just have sort of a little connection with scheffleras because of that. The one that was growing in our yard, in our first house in Southern California. I grew up in the Midwest, so I am not used to having, something like this, houseplants growing outdoors and getting huge. We had a bird of paradise that was ginormous, and I never understood why people out there didn't really like the bird of paradise. I always thought they were just so pretty, and their flowers are just so unique. And so many people I know have removed those bird of paradise from their yards, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. I think they're amazing. So we had one of those, and then we had tons of philodendron in our landscaping, which is very cool to me, being a Midwest girl, not used to something like that. So what else did we have? Well, okay, so in the house in California, the house was really dark, and so most of the plants I grew outdoors. I had a ton of plants outside. I remember one time I went to go visit my mom, and my husband stayed back in California, and he had to take care of the plants for me. And this was during the summertime. And I remember him saying it took him at least an hour every day after work to water all of my plants, because they're outside and you don't get much rain in Southern California. So every day you have to water your plants. I loved it. I mean, it was my favorite part of the day. He was okay with it. He said it was kind of relaxing after work. he would make his dinner and he would go sit outside and eat his dinner, and then he would water my plants. So, but anyway, so all of my plants were outdoors, and some were planted in the ground. Most were in pots, and it's neat how you can grow things out in Southern California. And so anyway, so that's why this plant, I just have a little bit of nostalgia with this plant. I have a little connection with this plant. So when I saw it, I had to pick it up. And especially this variegation. It's just so different. So pretty. And so easy to care for. Like I said, this plant lives in my IKEA Millsbo cabinet. It's probably not going to be able to stay in there too much longer. I might have till summer. I'm sure at the end of the summer, if not before, I'll have to move it out of that cabinet. And I know where I want this to be. Of course, I want it to get giant like my plant in California. Let me show you where I want this eventually to end up as a giant plant. So right here is where I would love for this plant to take up this space right here. I'll have to find a new place for my ZZ plant. I'm not sure where that will go, but I think this will look with this variegation. I think it will look so pretty in this white pot right here. And then I have these other variegated plants around it. I have my pothos pearls and jade and my pothos snow queen. And I just think right here it will just look so pretty, filling out this space right here. So that's my schefflera. And I'm going to go put it back in the cabinet. All right, so here we are at my next favorite plant of the month, and this is my Paella pepperonioides. And I think, well, I love the plant. I've always been very fond of this plant. I love its round leaves, and I just think it's really cute. And I've never fallen out of love with this plant. This is not my original Paella. I had one a couple of years ago, and it got really big. And that was when I lived in, let's see, I don't think I brought that from California. Pretty sure I didn't bring any plants from California. Maybe I did. But when I lived in Connecticut, I got the Paella. You know, now that I think about it, I might have had it in California as well. But anyway, so it got really big when it was in Connecticut. And then I brought it from Connecticut with me here to Colorado. And then I ended up selling it when I did a big plant purge. What is she doing? She's being silly. I did a big plant purge, and I sold my Paella. And it was really big. It was really beautiful. So I decided I wanted another one after we moved to this house, and this is it. So actually, originally, I picked this up because I want to do a kokedama project, and I was going to just take one of the little pups from this. And I still might do that. I'm not sure. I kind of like this plant so much, I don't really want to break it up. And if I do the kokedama project, I'll probably just buy in a little 2-inch pot from the nursery. So anyway, so this, I think it's this combination planter and plant that has just really brought me so much joy in the month of January. And I got this planter, it's from Anthropology, and they're having this huge sale, and I think I got it for $25. And it is so cool. It's made of cement, and it's really heavy, And I mean, it's just a really sturdy, awesome planter. And I think they just look really good together. It's kind of, this is like his hair sticking out up here. And every morning, so this is, the window over here is a southeast facing window, and it does get some direct sun for not like super long, but just enough. And every morning I open the shades, and then I come over here and I give it a turn every day. It gets a little turn. Yeah, I'm going to move it back because it already got its turn. But I do that to make sure that it doesn't start growing crooked like towards the window. I just want it to go straight up. And yeah, so this is my paella pepperomioides, and it's one of my January favorites. All right, so moving along, and in this same location right here is my paella, and then right next door is my next favorite, and this is my variegated miranta. So this miranta I've had since, I think I got it in November, and I love mirantas. Getting more mirantas in my collection is part of my wish list for 2023, and this one, I just love it. And I'll show you why I love it. There is a specific 3 leaves, there is the reason why I love it so much. But look at this first one, look at this. Isn't that just gorgeous? That light green coloring with this pink splashes. It's like a work of art. It's like nature's art. And then behind that one, this, I know it's hard to see, but it's like two-toned with this light green and the dark green. And then my other favorite leaf is this one, which has more of that pink splashiness here with the, it's almost a, what do they call that? Half moon? Is that how they refer to that when half of the leaf is variegated and the other half isn't? It's almost like that. So these leaves, they're like paintings. They're just so beautiful, and that's why I love it. And it sits on the table here in this south-facing window. It gets some sun, and it does really well. I have noticed it's getting a few little crispy edges here, which hopefully will not get worse. Here's another one. So hopefully it's just a part of growing in the winter time, and it won't get any worse than what it is. That's my hope. But, so yeah, that's my variegated miranta, and it's on my January favorites list. All right, so here we are at the next area of my favorites, and there's 2 of my favorites are here. The first one is this neon pothos, and the second thing are these shelves. So I guess we'll start with the pothos. Let me grab it down here. It's very long, and these shelves are new. And before, this pothos would sit on a table over here, and I liked it over there. But once I moved it to these shelves, and I could really see the length and the beauty of this plant, I just loved it. It just brought me so much joy. So this plant is kind of unique. It sits in this cute little rainbow pot, and the reason it's kind of unique is because it's actually a kokedama that I made. As you can see, I just recently watered it, so that's why it's dripping here, and I should empty that water out. But it's a cute little kokedama, and it's been in here quite a while. I think it may be soon time to repot this one into a regular pot, but I love it in the kokedama, and there's no roots growing out of it yet, so maybe I have some more time. But isn't it just beautiful? I just love it. I love that it's a kokedama, and I love it hanging up here on the shelf, and I just think it's so beautiful. That's my neon pothos. So as I said, my other favorite thing here is these shelves, which are new. My husband put these up for me. And because the reason they're here is because my collection is constantly growing and I need places to keep my plants. And I thought this little section here between the window and the door here would be perfect for plants. So we get light from the window, we get light from, usually this shade is open, but I closed it because it was just way too bright for filming. But the plants get a decent amount of light here and they seem really happy here. And I love the way the plants look, and I love being able to style these shelves. So, you know, I have my mushrooms, I have some books, I have some pictures that I picked up at the thrift store, which are really neat. I'm a big fan of foxes. I've got my little fox, cute little fox figurine that sits up here. And then one of the pictures I found at the thrift store, I was so excited about it. It has a fox on it, so it matches nicely. It's got some butterflies and it's got some like ferns in the print, these beautiful trees, and it's just a really cute nature scene to go with my plants. And then I also found this one at the same thrift store. More nature looking things, very pretty. So I looked up this artist here and I was able to find her. She had a shop on Etsy. So this print is called Family Trees, and I think it's on the back of this print. I was able to figure out the name of this artist, so I Googled her and I saw that she had a shop on Etsy. So I got on her Etsy page and I was looking and I found one that I loved because it has more, you know, plants and mushrooms, which I love collecting mushroom things. So I picked this one up. And the frames, I picked up the frames at Michael's. But I just love decorating these shelves with plants and other cute little decorative things. And these two shelves have just brought me so much joy this month. So that is why they are on my January favorites list. All right, so we're down to our final favorite of January. And can you guess which one it is from all these plants here? It's actually just this simple aloe vera plant here that has gotten huge. So I've had this plant for quite a while. I think I brought this with me from Connecticut. I'm pretty sure I did. And you know, it's like a succulent, and succulents can be challenging for people. For some reason, I seem to do okay with them. I don't know why. I just do. And but with this plant, it wasn't always looking this beautiful because you know you hear don't overwater your succulents. So and aloe veras, don't overwater your aloe veras. So I was very stingy with the water for this plant. And it wasn't really growing. It was getting brown leaves and it was getting brown tips, and it wasn't looking its best. And then one day I decided that I was no longer going to be afraid of overwatering this plant. And every week, every watering day, I would give it a little bit of water. And not like too much. I would just, you know, put a little bit of water in there. And it loves it. And it's doing so well. And my big thing is don't be afraid of watering your aloe vera. Don't overwater it. Like, don't drown it when you give it water, but like once a week, give it a little bit of water. And that seems to really be working well for me. So this sits by this southeast facing window, and you can see it's growing towards the window. but that's okay, I don't mind. Aloe vera is one of those plants that I will always have in my house because I am like a accident prone person and my kitchen is right over here, and I'm always burning myself. I'm just a klutz, I guess. And it's just so handy to have the aloe here for those burns. But actually, knock on wood, I haven't burned myself in quite a while. I'm doing pretty good. But so let me pull this out and give you a closer look at it. So you can see it's a pretty large plant. And it's not the only aloe in here. I actually have 2 aloes in here. I also have this one right here, which it kind of blends in, but it's actually, I think it might be a different type. Although now that it's getting bigger, it kind of, well, you know what? No, I think it is a different type because this plant here has like speckling on it and this other aloe in here does not. The reason I don't really know much about it is because it was a freebie that came with another plant that I purchased on Etsy. So I just plopped it in here with my big aloe, and they seem to be getting along really well. It's growing, not as fast, but they're both just doing so well in there. It's so big. Isn't it just awesome? I love aloes. So let me see if I can squeeze it back in here. Get it back in this standing basket, this vintage standing basket, which is really cool. Found at the thrift store, my favorite place to find planty things. Here, let me show you. It's very neat. So that's my final favorite for the month of January. That's my aloe vera. So these have been my January favorites. I hope you've enjoyed watching, learning about my favorites, seeing where they sit in my house and why they're my favorites. Thank you so much for watching. And if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, maybe hit that subscribe button. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.